This is one amazing truffula tree. Can you imagine a place where these grow everywhere? Yes, it's called the forest, a magical place to enjoy with your family.
Ooh.
So discover the forest and explore all the wonder that's there. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Hello, and welcome to Road to Recovery, the show that attempts to offer hope and help and healing and wholeness for those who are going through challenging times in these areas of addictions. We so appreciate you joining us and participating in the process. Your response has been incredible to the program. We really appreciate that. If you have a family member, a friend, a co-worker, a neighbor who is struggling with the areas of addiction, give the Recovery Center a call, 740-687-4500, or you can stop by their offices in downtown Lancaster, 201 South Columbus Street. Steve Rao is my name, and our co-host is Tricia Saunders, the Executive Director of the Recovery Center. Welcome back to Road to Recovery.
Thank you. How are you doing today, Steve?
Doing wonderfully well,
Excellent.
thank you. It's so exciting to have individuals who are gifted, talented, trained, experienced in ways of helping folks with these addiction challenges, and that they're so willing to come on the show.
It is. It's wonderful. We have so many people in our community who are working together to make some good things happen.
It is a partnership for sure. Introduce our guest today.
Our guest today is Kelly Monce from the YAPI Coalition, and let's see, YAPI stands for Young Adult Prevention Initiative.
That's right.
Welcome. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I believe you're not a native Fairfield Countyan, is that correct?
That is correct.
So you're from a neighboring county?
I'm from Pickaway County.
Pickaway County, very good. And in Pickaway County, were you involved in prevention kinds of things there?
I was a juvenile probation officer with addicted teens involved in the court.
Okay, very good. So that kind of got you on that path to helping those who are struggling.
Correct.
You told me something off the air about making the transfer to Fairfield County and how Fairfield County was a little different than Pickaway County and even some other counties. What are some of those differences?
I wasn't ready for that question. It's just different for me because in Pickaway County I know how everything operates and I know all the people, and so I don't know that it's vastly different in the way things operate, but it's different for me because I don't already know everything. I don't know everybody and how things run and who runs everything.
Yeah, create some challenges there.
Kind of stuff, yeah.
What about the partnerships that you've seen in Fairfield County?
I see a lot more cooperation going on in Fairfield County. Everybody here kind of works together, pools their funding, you go to one coalition meeting and you see a lot of people involved in every aspect of this problem as well as other problems, in the helpful way, in the monetary way, and that's something I think is really unique to Fairfield County in my experience is that willingness to help and work together.
It really is phenomenal. I know when we started different coalitions and the overwhelming response from different people in the community, from different sectors, businesses, churches, schools, everybody really pulls together and is really passionate about making sure that our community is safe and people get the services they need.
And also, I've heard rumor that Fairfield County is one of the worst counties in the entire country for addiction issues. You've done a lot of looking at data and other counties, your counterparts and colleagues in other counties. How would you respond to that statement?
I think people, it's worse for them because they're here in it, and so they think it's worse here. Also,
sure.
I believe part of that issue is that Fairfield County was one of the first to really identify that we have a problem and get it out there, and so that perpetuated kind of this myth that we have it worse than everyone else. But data-wise and in talking to other counties, it's pretty standard across the board, the issue.
And actually, we're probably not even the worst county in our own state, much less across the country.
Well, what's interesting about our county, and especially the city of Lancaster, in our research and community readiness, we're more advanced. So while our problem might not be less than other places, where we are in our readiness to address our problem is a lot higher from the research that we've done, because we've done so much identifying that we do have an issue. Our community is now, and right now I'm speaking specifically to Lancaster, our community is now ready to attack the problem and do something about it, where a lot of other communities are still at the stage of identifying that they have an issue and that it's going on locally.
Or maybe even denial.
I think so, in some cases.
Heads buried in the sand kind of approach to things. And you've seen that as well. We've been talking about it. We've been putting the word out there. We have a problem. We're facing our problem with partnerships, and that tends to get communicated that, oh, it's a lot worse here.
Yeah, I think it's really easy for people to get defensive and say, well, I'm not part of, we're not adding to the problem and that kind of thing. But in Lancaster, you see a lot of maybe we can do this better, and how can we change things? How can I help? Yes.
That's really why you're here on this Road to Recovery program, because you're another one of the partners who says, instead of just identify that we have a problem, what are we going to do about it? And you're the coordinator of the Young Adult Prevention Initiative. Now, that's under a particular umbrella. What umbrella is that here in the county?
So the Young Adult Prevention Initiative, or YAPI, as we call it for short, is actually I work under the umbrella of the Family, Adult, and Children First Council, but YAPI itself is a partnership between the ADAM Board, the Family, Adult, and Children First Council, and Prevention Works. So all those three different organizations came together and got a grant that formed what is YAPI now. So I kind of work under all of their umbrellas.
And you're working with a really critical age group. Can you tell us about that?
So YAPI addresses 18 to 25-year-olds. And when we talk about working with, YAPI does environmental prevention. So for those that don't know what that is, that's more environmental strategies isn't really working one-on-one, so I don't have people in my office, and I don't do any sort of counseling or prevention that way, but we do things out in the community that will affect people's ability to stay clean and not use drugs.
And they're finding nationally the environmental approaches are something, the most important, really, because if you take away the person's ability to get the harmful or the drugs, then there won't be the consequences later. So it's working more to prevent it from even being available.
Right.
And prevent individuals from getting involved in that process, so that they don't need to go to the recovery center because they've not fallen into addiction or been attacked by that and stuck in that kind of process. There's a lot of data collecting in the Young Adult Prevention Initiative, especially in the beginning processes.
Yes.
What has that data shown you?
So, well, the purpose of that is, and a lot of people see this problem and then they have a loved one die from it, or a community kind of surrounds around it, and we really have a tendency to just do. But the project and the grant that I work for stresses very much that you have to have data and research behind what you do, so you're not stabbing in the dark, so to speak, and then you may or may not be hitting your target. So the data we collect is, because each community is slightly different. While nobody has a worse problem, so to speak, than anyone else, every community is different culturally, economically, so we have to look at what the problem looks like for us in our community and make sure that we're having strategies that are specifically going to help us here in Fairfield County. So that's what all the data collection is about.
So what is the next step after the data collection?
So after we've done all the data collection, and we'll continue to collect data yearly, so that we can kind of compare and contrast and see what kind of differences are happening in our community. Although, that's very hard to do with prevention. It's hard to prove what's not happening.
Right.
So that'll be an ongoing challenge for us. But the data we've collected now, we're done with that part of it, and we just finished our logic model in the Lancaster area. We're still working on our logic model for Pickerington and OUL. And then we will be soon working on our strategic plan of what we're actually going to be doing in the community.
That's fantastic. And what we've seen at the Recovery Center is that the average age of admission for especially opiates is around 26 years old. However, most of the people started before they were the age of 21, and that's why your grant is really critical, working with the most critical age range. We know if people are older than that at this point, they're less likely to become addicted to drugs. So.
Right. I hear a lot of people, also when I talk about the age group I work with, will say to me, even people that work in the field will say, well, prevention should happen for teenagers, high school. And I don't disagree with that, but our community, and I'm sure other people have been on the program, we do a wonderful job locally doing prevention for teenagers in high school with Prevention Works, and I know that the Recovery Center does Teen Institute and a lot of different programs like that. And we found, and the federal government found, that we are lacking prevention when it comes to 18 to 25-year-olds. So they get really great prevention messages in high school, and then they graduate, and that transition period, which is a really critical time in their life, nobody's continuing that message. And so it's just like anything else. If you don't hear it regularly, it sort of gets pushed back there somewhere in your head, and everything else is up front. And then so someone who may have been hearing a lot of anti-drug messages and making good decisions when they're 17 years old doesn't hear it anymore, and then by 21 it doesn't seem as big a deal, and so then they slip into being more accepting of use. So.
Yes, and it's at a time in their life where they have more freedom and
more stress.
More stress and more financial resources. So it can be a very dangerous time. And a lot of young adults in that age range, for example, they tend to drink as though if you were just to look at their behaviors, you would think that they were addicted to alcohol. But they may purposely be using at that level, but eventually they will become addicted if they don't change their patterns.
Right.
So.
We're just about out of time. What do you see as the future of the prevention efforts, certainly Young Adult Prevention Initiative, but prevention efforts in whole as it relates to these issues of addiction, alcohol, or drugs?
Well, YAPI specifically focuses on prescription drug addiction right now, and so I think one of the important parts of prevention for that is we have sort of a Generation RX mentality right now, which is something hurts or I don't feel good, so I'm going to immediately go to the doctor and get a pill to fix it. And so I think the biggest part of prevention right now is changing that mentality and going back to the mentality that existed before that of an overall wellness. If I'm extremely tired all the time or my back hurts, I'm going to exercise and get more sleep and take care of myself rather than running to the doctor for a quick fix. So I think working on that mentality and an overall wellness message is what's really something that's coming in the future.
Powerful way to prevent.
Very helpful.
No question. Kelly Monce, coordinator for the Young Adult Prevention Initiative, thank you for the work you're doing, especially with this group that's been identified as maybe falling through the cracks or a gap in the prevention message. Thank you for your passion to lead and help others to stay off of the road to recovery because they've stayed off of the path of addiction.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us for the Road to Recovery program. If you or a loved one, a friend, a neighbor, a coworker is struggling with addiction, give the Recovery Center a call, 740-687-4500, or stop by 201 South Columbus Street and let them know that you are looking for help as others in our community are providing support and encouragement and help so that you can be whole and healing and helped through this process. Join us next time as we'll talk to another individual who walks along this road to addiction and recovery.
It's Timothy Green's first day at school.
What's in there? He's about to fall over.
Anything he might need. There's a box of tissues on the bottom and some Band-Aids. There's a whole first aid kit, actually.
Mom, I can handle it from here.
You don't have to be perfect.
Have a great day.
That's too much pressure.
Have the day you have.
To be a perfect parent.
There are two people in the world who want you more than anything. They'll make some mistakes, but they will love you more than you can ever imagine.
There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.